reading namaz 5 times a day. You did read your Quran.
I did, yeah, and I loved it. But when it started to impinge on me and who I was, I am an artist. I can't help that. It's not something that I said one day that I'm going to be an actress and a singer. It's something I always did. You know, I wrote my first song at 5. I was constantly involved in plays. It's something I always did.
But do you really, you know, I'm going to ask you questions that our viewers can't because they're not here.
No, please do.
Do you think that, you know, girls that are watching us now who feel that artistic inclination, do you think they have to go so far as to remove themselves completely from their family? As you kind of had to do.
Yeah, I had to, but I didn't really have a choice. My mother asked me to choose what I wanted to do in life or my family. And I told her that that wasn't my choice to make, it was hers. I think if there are women that want to be artists, singers, you know, now it's probably a bit more accepted because you're seeing more Asian people doing this, because there wasn't anybody around when I was younger doing what I'm doing. And there isn't as much now still, I suppose. I think it depends on your relationship with your family, but if I look at the Muslim people that I know and my family, I think you do. You do have to remove yourself from your family if you can and if you're strong enough, because there's a lot of people who are not strong enough. You know, out of every 100,000, you might get 1 or 2.
That's right. But do you ever feel, look, my parents were pretty conservative, you know, and they're Asian, I'm Asian, and I understand where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
I completely understand where they're coming from, because they don't just have to take into account how happy I am.
Yeah.
But they've got that extended pressure from the community, and they've got their izzat.
Yeah.
You know, and if I do something that's going to reflect negatively on them.
This is what I think of as honor. I think it's in our culture, it's blood's drawn.
It's just the way it is. It's part of who we are. I don't see it changing anytime soon, because like you said, you've had comments from young Asian guys, 16, 17, 18, who feel as strongly as our parents feel about certain things. So I don't really see that changing with this generation.
The thing is, it's ingrained. This whole idea of izzat is, I'm not allowed to swear on the show, am I? It's absolute because I said to my dad and mum once, you know, we're worried about the neighbours and their friends and the community. I said, tomorrow, if you had a serious problem, who's going to be there? Would they be there? If you needed a huge amount of money or you were seriously ill, are they going to be by your bedside? Are they the people who are going to pick you up? No. And that's what's happened with my relationship with my mother today. I mean, she disowned me for 10 years and, you know.
Well, how was that? How did you live with that?
It was really difficult. It was really hard.
Was that something that haunted you on a daily basis?
Emotionally, I don't think I ever had. I'm an artist. I write songs about love and people and emotions. And I believe in the romance that you see in the movies. I believe in that mother who's standing there for her daughter. I'm so proud of you. Gives her a hug when she's down, you know, all that kind of stuff. I never had that. So I never had to expect it.
You know what? I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. Reading your book, and if I'm going to be quite honest, I was getting kind of angry thinking, because you were writing about, I think you were at an audition, and there was girls there, and they had their mothers there, and they were so proud of them. And I was thinking, how can Sophia not get it? How can she not understand that, you know, as a Pakistani Muslim woman, your mother couldn't be that woman?
I get it. But at the same time, I wanted it.
Yeah.
Because I had this romantic ideal of what a mother is supposed to be. It wasn't. If we're looking at romantic ideals of what mothers are supposed to be, then we have to classify them. There's a mother in Western society and then a mother in Pakistani Muslim. You have to classify it. But to me, love is love. It shouldn't have conditions on it. Yeah. When I have children, if God blesses me with children, I will love them for who they are. Now, my fiancé is in finance. He said to me, you know, if they want to be musicians or artists, I'm going to train them to be, you know, make lots of money first. They'll be millionaires by the time they're 30, which, you know, is something that he did. And I agree with him because, you know, I struggled. You know, I was hand to mouth on a daily basis. I couldn't afford to eat.
But I guess it made you the person that you are today.
Yeah, but, you know, money isn't important to me. And this is the other thing in our culture. If someone's a multimillionaire and they have a lot of money, they get respect and they can do what they want.
Sure. Yeah. But if you know, we were talking about this before you came, and I was talking to one of our researchers, and we were saying that if we had a daughter, If I have a daughter
Yeah.
and a son, would I treat them differently?
You would.
And I would want to say the politically correct answer would be no, of
No.
course not.
No.
But if I was going to be honest, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Because as a woman, I know the evils that are out there. So I'd be more
Yeah.
protective of my daughter.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I knew when I went to university at 18, that was my first taste of freedom. I didn't touch any alcohol or have sex for 2 years. It was all there. Why? Because everything that I'd learned from my family, I'd kind of kept in the back of my mind. And I'm kind of glad I did to a degree. But then, you know, when I did start drinking, you know.
But do you think it was out of rebellion? Did you
No,
think, you know, you talk about your university experience
Yeah.
and you know, premarital sex and the drinking, and you're obviously this is not an isolated case. I mean, you know, people that are watching us aren't going to be like, oh my God, how could she do this? Because this is what happens when you go to university. Do you think that a lot of, and especially with Asians, I've noticed that when
Yeah.
we party, we take it to the absolute extreme because we haven't had that privilege growing up.
Yeah.
Do you think a part of the person that you became in your 20s was more out of rebellion, or was that
not at
being
all.
true to yourself?
No, if it was rebellion, I would have had sex, drugs, and rock and roll as soon as I went to university. But I didn't. I held back, not because it was anything different, because I'd never had sex. I'd never had a boyfriend, so I wasn't about to just jump into bed. In Western society, they start dating at 13, 14. They might have sex at 17, 18. You know, I lost my virginity at 21, you know, which is quite old. But in Western society, they kind of, it goes in steps, whereas for us, it's like, you know, go to university. Some people might rebel and do all of that stuff. I didn't, you know. But then what's the difference between getting married? It's like you get married and then you have to have sex straight away and you're a virgin. My cousin, when she got married and she had sex, she said to me, I didn't know I had a hole down there for that. How frightening and scary is that?
Yeah.
How scary is that? And
Well, I guess that is taking it to the complete other extreme.
well, but also it takes away the joy of making love, you know, and it is a joyful thing. And us Asians obviously have more than enough
But
sex.
you know what, Sophia? I mean, I think, I mean, when we look at, I mean, I don't think there's a definition of what defines an Asian culture, but I
No.
can tell you what doesn't. What would be the, you know, the opposite of it, and that would be being sexually active before you're married and
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, being honest about it.
I mean, how many of our parents actually enjoy having sex? How many of us can actually
I'm not
say?
going to ask my parents, but
No.
I doubt it, yeah.
No, I mean, it's for the purpose of making babies, and I'm sure the men get enjoyment out of it.
So I take it your partner is an Asian.
No, he's Italian.
Would you, I mean, is your perception of Asian men and just the culture and everything that goes along with being Asian, is that so tainted that you wouldn't see yourself being with an Asian person?
No, I don't see myself being with an Asian Muslim. I have dated a Turkish Muslim, and he was beautiful. You know, obviously we had sexual relations, but it was beautiful. And he saw Islam in a completely different way because he was brought up with it differently, and maybe because he's a boy. But have I dated any Muslim guys? I dated one Muslim guy for a very short period, and I remember sitting down with him and 3 of his friends, very successful businessmen, and he said, oh, my ex-girlfriend was in there. She's so clean, she's only slept with 2 people. And we just sat down, the drinks were ordered, and sat there with 3 of the most successful Muslim men in London. I got up and walked out. And they said, what's going on? I said, I'm going. Well, your drinks have come. Well, I'm going. And I didn't speak to this person for a month. I didn't explain why. Then when I picked up the phone to his call, I said, how dare you speak about women like that? You, not only have you been married and slept around behind your wife's back, how dare you speak about another woman like that?
Yep.
A woman isn't dirty because she's had sex more than once.
Well, and I want to touch upon this after we take a short break. You talk about infidelity in marriage, and we'll get to it in a minute. You're watching Broken Silence. We'll be back after this short break.